Hi guys, Albert Apache, open source self-defense, fitness and grappling. So I wanted to do a quick video, a breakdown video, so to speak, to kind of give you a more first-hand look at what I mean when I give advice about things you need to look for and be wary of when it comes to self-defense instructors, martial arts instructors, and when they're trying to sell you a certain perspective. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. Flashy opening. Okay. Okay, so for those of you who might not know, that first technique he's showing, that he's saying they tell you what to do, you might not recognize it, and maybe other people show it as well, but I think probably the Gracies have most popularized that technique. They feature it in their Women Empowered program, and it's a grip break from a wrist grab. And first of all, you can, if you're familiar with the program, the female there is not executing it exactly right. And, you know, he also, because he knows what's coming, he gives a certain type of resistance to make sure she cannot execute that particular technique, which is the case. Anybody who knows martial arts, anybody who knows fighting, anybody who knows self-defense knows there's a counter to every counter. And so he's basically, because he knows what's coming, he's able to, you know, counter it. He's also giving very, very strong resistance. Okay. Now we're going to watch, I'm going to back this up just a tiny bit, and we're going to watch the type of resistance he gives when he wants to show the techniques he wants you to buy from him. So now here's what he's saying works.
So here's the popular technique of.
So as we can see, basically this guy gives super tough resistance during the technique that he's trying to discredit, yet he gives training resistance to the technique he's trying to promote. Okay, and that's just not an apples to apples comparison. And this would actually really worry me if I was somebody looking for a martial arts school somewhere to train. If, let's say, I moved into this guy's neighborhood or community, and I wanted to train somewhere, and I walked into his school and I saw him doing a demonstration like this, or I looked him up and I saw this video, I'd be very wary of this. And the reason why is because he's just being intellectually dishonest. You know, he's giving 80% resistance to the first technique, and then he's giving like a 30%, 20% training resistance to the techniques that he wants to sell. And that kind of makes me wonder a little bit, because I think we all know that if that female struck him in the face, he's not going to crumple up and fall to the floor into the fetal position. Like, I mean, look at the guy. He's obviously a big guy, pretty built. You know, he looks pretty swole there. She doesn't look, I'm not going to say she looks out of shape, but she doesn't look like, you know, she's an elite fighter. So I really doubt that she's going to be landing the type of strikes that would take a man with that big of a size advantage on her down with a couple of strikes. I just don't see it.
How to deal with an arm grab that's shown on the web and on many other web forums. A person is going to attack a woman for whatever reason. She's standing there. Maybe he approaches her on the street, asks her for the time, whatever the case may be, and now he wants her to go with him somewhere. So what they show is, as an attacker reaches out and grabs a woman's arm, And what's supposed to happen is she's supposed to try to struggle and get out of it. If she can't get out of it, then she's supposed to step in and using the leverage of her arm to break the grip. In actuality, what happens is, as a person goes and grabs, they grab with all their might because they're trying to control. As they grab with all their might, it's just not going to be easy for a woman to be able to pull out of the grab of a man, especially a man much bigger than her. Instead of using some type of anti-grappling move, why not do something that's more practical and realistic? As I attempt to grab her and try to pull her with me to control her, she's just going to simply step in, driving the fingers into the eyes and driving.
Okay, so I'll let the rest of the video play in its entirety here in a second, but we're pretty much to the end. This guy is doing what I like to call selling the sizzle. So what he's done is he's taken what we would usually deem as a soft technique, something that requires, that is based on leverage and timing and not necessarily a brute strength move, and he's comparing it and selling the sizzle of a very violent technique, right? Because meeting force with force, that must work, okay? Now, I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. I'm not saying that eye gouging and kneeing the guy in the testicles isn't going to hurt and might not facilitate you getting away, okay? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that he's purposefully trying to mislead. He's taking a technique, he's giving full resistance to that technique, but training resistance to the techniques that he's trying to sell you. He then says it's more practical. I'm sorry, but I don't know in what world it's more practical for a woman giving up that size advantage to get into a striking contest, okay, with somebody who's that big. I don't know how that's practical, okay? I just don't see it, okay? It just doesn't make any sense. And you see this all the time. It makes much more sense for her if she can to break the grip and run away, okay? That makes the most amount of sense. If she can break the grip and run away, that makes much more sense than kneeing the guy in the testicles and trying to slap him in the face. First of all, what she's doing right there, picking up her foot off the ground, okay, and reaching out with her hand, she's reaching out on the same side. That means that her body is naturally off balance, okay? This is a relative, I know it doesn't seem like it's a complex motor movement, but it is, okay? Just all by yourself, without any kind of stress, what I would like you to do is just stand there and bring up your hand and your knee at the same time, right? And see how easily you keep your balance, okay? Now do it quicker. Now get somebody in front of you and try to hit a specific target, okay? Let them put on a cup, maybe, okay? And maybe a face shield, but let them try it. It's not as easy as it looks. I've also done some videos, and it's a good time to reiterate that the growing strike is the most overrated, most sold technique, I think, next to eye gouging. I think it's eye gouging and strikes to the groin, right? Especially against men. Like, if you do those techniques, those two things are the most powerful techniques ever. They're like the death touch, right? It's just not true, okay? You can get such a wide range of responses from somebody, and men in particularly. In this case, we'll talk about it since it seems to be, that's the framework that we're talking about. Against a male attacker, okay, women, you're going to have this wide range of responses. He could crumple to the ground. That very well could be. He also could have a delayed reaction in which he still has time to punch you in the face, okay? Break your face, break your nose, knock you unconscious before he doubles over. He could even just shake it off completely and it'd be almost no reaction whatsoever. Okay, so it's just a really unreliable technique because how the person responds to it and the level of damage it does is just so varying from individual to individual and even incident to incident. And I can speak to that personally. You know, I've taken shots to the groin area where, it was just debilitating, hit the ground, and just oh, just wanted to stay there for like an hour, right? Other times, been hit, a little bit of soreness, no big deal, and really the solidness really had nothing to do with it. Just kind of probably the angle, I suppose, you know. But it's just one of those things. Also, you know, this guy's not just going to stand there. Well, he's your knee and your hand is coming at him. He's going to flinch. You know, he's going to turn his head away. It's a natural reaction. He doesn't have to be a trained fighter. I mean, something comes at your face, you move your face, right? It's pretty much that simple. That's what most people do. His adrenaline's flowing too, not just yours. So he's in a fight or flight mode as well. Okay, so let's just watch the rest of this video.
The knee into the groin.
And here you see, like I said, you saw at the very end, again, his training reaction time, his training resistance when he's trying to sell his techniques. And, you know, I just think that, you know, we have to be a little more intellectually honest as a martial arts community, and that's why I do some of these reviews. Yes, there, you know, it does raise a question. Maybe that wrist grab break defense, maybe it isn't the greatest, right? Maybe it's not. Maybe, you know, there needs to be you know, you have to look at it a little more carefully, because maybe one of its Achilles heels is that you really need to practice it a lot. And what if you don't have that time? And so maybe you do feel more comfortable or confident doing a different technique that does involve striking. However, let's not, you know, sell a sizzle of a technique because it looks flashier, it looks more violent. Okay? That's all I got, guys. All right, then. Remember, be practical, be purposeful, get fit with a purpose.